Hello everyone, this is me, Dusty Circuit here, and just another video for my I guess it's my modded single player world tours. And I have done all of my pretty much in the last video I finished all of my worlds in basically in the 1.7.10 version of Minecraft. But that's not the only mod pack that I made myself. I actually have a 1.12.2 version. And it has most of the same mods, but some new mods as well. And as you can see here, this is basically the whole list. The reason Optifine is here but is disabled is because I think I wanted to try to install it to help improve performance, but I found out it kinda doesn't work too well. Or I guess it's incompatible with some mods that I'm using, so I have to might as well not even have it there. In Greg Tech, I believe I actually decided I wanted to give a try, but I didn't realize that it also changes a lot of the world. I could add ores to the world, and well, if I'm going to have that mod in there, that it's just going to add more and more blocks to the world. And I think I ultimately decided it wasn't really worth having it. So I think I ended up leaving it disabled for that reason. But I might maybe someday when I feel like playing more modded single player, I might re-enable it on another world. But other than that, basically those are the only mods that are disabled in this. So everything else is enabled. And so I guess it's on to my worlds. I really only have a few different worlds in this, so I just have 2 survival worlds and a few testing worlds. So well, I think this is one of the testing worlds. And I don't think I really have a this one is not, I believe, wasn't one of the worlds I really used a whole lot. Though I think I remember I actually used to have another test world, but it stopped working for some reason. Like, I tried to load into it, but it just made my game freeze and crash, so I think I just ended up getting rid of it. And apparently over there, that's the top of a roguelike dungeon. Well, I'm not really sure what the other things are. And that is, I was experimenting with the building guide from Open Blocks in order to plan a base for I think it was to plan a build for a base or something. I kind of forget what I was doing here. I think maybe looking around for different biomes, or anyway, let's move on to my actual survival worlds. So this world that we're about to load into, Roy is my main, or the survival world that I have the most time into in this. And I was working on something here, but I guess we'll start on just the actual base itself. Okay, so this is really what I'd call my main base in this world. And, though this is not my first base, like I think I had a starter base somewhere. But I think it would have been, I think it's somewhere in this direction. And I can hear my computer fans ramping up, just loading this. I'm not sure. Why are there guardians here? Okay, I'm going to turn it to peaceful for a bit so we don't have to listen to those guys. But I guess I should explain the world type. So when I created this world, I guess because I wanted to do something a little more different than normal, I actually used the customize world option. I forget what update it was added in, but it was removed in pretty much in 1.13 and onwards, and it allows you to, like, it has different presets you can choose, but also lets you tweak literally every aspect about the Minecraft world generation, from what features the world will have, what ores will spawn, and how big the veins are, and how many veins there are, and even like every aspect about the the terrain generation itself. Though it's a lot of different options that may seem confusing to just the average player. And although this was that's actually my first like starter base, though I've kind of gutted it since I've left it. So I think I would have had a small applied energistics set up over here, and I would have made this smeltery, I think, for getting started with ore smelting, and I think later I use it for some tinker's stuff. And apparently there's a few items I left behind here. And then later on, I expanded it out, and I made this this mob farm. Oh, I believe this one I used to make mob essence. And then this one, I used the mob essence from that other spawner to spawn any mob I wanted to. And I believe over here I would have had a... I set up ore production or ore processing. I think this would have been tier 4 ore processing for mechanism. And over here I would have had a thermal evaporation tower, but I removed it later on. Oh, I wanted to get some light in here, but I guess I can just dig a hole to the surface. I mean, I have a freaking draconic staff of power. Might as well use it. Anyway, over here, I actually made, I think this would have been just a really large, cobblestone, generator, because I believe I wanted a way to, well, before I really got into RF tools in this world, I wanted a way to basically mass produce EMC. And I think I would have used this to just make a ton of cobblestone. So that's going in here. I think at some point I might have converted it to this to make stone, or yeah, I forget all what I was doing here, but I think if I would have, although I would think EMC would be probably one of the only reasons I'd want a cobble generator that big. And a bunch of like mob loot, mob bag or loot bag loot that I left here. And I believe around this time I actually used some of the immersive engineering wire to move power here, at least to use the lights. Or the electric floodlights. And over here was kind of an interesting attempt for me to make, because it was in this mod pack, I actually added, the additional, like I have not only immersive engineering, but also immersive petroleum and immersive, technology. And then, I believe as part of that mod, I decided I wanted to use the steam turbine multi-blocks from that mod, even though, at least compared to the Extreme Reactors turbines, they aren't really that great. And I think I would have built 2 of them here, and I would have built... I think I would have had a smaller reactor than I have here, but I believe at some point I made this bigger when I decided I'm just going to upgrade these to the Extreme Reactors turbines. Oh, and in here is my nether portal and my mining world portal, and I accidentally went into the mining world. I forget exactly what I was doing here. I guess maybe I was vein mining. And I ended up digging all this out here. And I bet there's nothing really interesting in the nether. I just, like, got some resources from it, really. Though, really the nether in this pack looks the same as the nether in the other pack I showed. And really, that's about it for this base. Though, I think the reason these weird bridges are here is I didn't have wireless power cables, or like I didn't have any way to wirelessly transfer items. And I ended up making these long cables in order to get power to a few builder quarries I set up here, and that's why that's what these holes are from. And a bunch of some chests I haven't cleaned up. And this is a quarry that never finished digging. And then really I just decided I was gonna move house, so to speak, and start a new base over here. And as you can see, I really went all in, and also go big or go home with the space. And really my plan was just have this big open room with basically my reactors and like my power generation at the bottom, and like kind of like ME turn like applied energistics interface, and like the drives like on this middle level, and then like auto crafting basically all in this top area. And for lighting, I'm using all of these electric floodlights, and from the mod that's literally called floodlights. And these are just awesome. Like they have a few different modes, and they light up such a huge area, and they require a little bit of RF to run, but they're well worth having. And of course, it's a luxury you're not going to have in every single mod pack you play, but at least I have it in this mod pack, which is nice. And down here, I have a tier 8, I believe this is a tier 8 Draconic Energy Core, which, despite my crazy amount of RF generation, is apparently still going to take 1,000 years to completely fill up, which is just insane, even though... So I'm making, like... It kind of bounces around, but I'm making 12 between 10 and 12 million RF per tick, and yet it's still going to take over 1,000 years just to fill this energy core up. And I believe I currently have 442 trillion RF stored, and that's not even 1% of what this energy core can hold, which is just insane. Though, when I first made this room, this is not, this would have originally had, I believe I originally put an Extreme Reactors reactor in the middle, and I just filled, like, and I just literally surrounded it with turbines. And I just built, like, the biggest reactor, well, not the biggest reactor, but I built the biggest turbine you can make in Extreme Reactors, or at least in the version for 1.12.2, and I just filled this room up with turbines. Though, and then later on, I discovered the Nuclear Craft mod, and that it has basically it has its own form of fusion reactors, which are, let's just say, are kind of insane. Like with the like just in the ratio of like what it costs to get them running, or at least keep them running, versus the amount of energy you get out of them. It's just insane. So really, I have 3 reactors, and basically I'm running kind of a cycle where you basically, one reactor produces fuel for the next reactor, and it just kind of goes like so. Like this one is taking hydrogen, and it is outputting deuterium. And then this one is taking deuterium from the reactor above it, plus more hydrogen, and that's making helium-3. And then this one at the bottom is taking helium-3 from above, along with more hydrogen, and is just making helium. And that's really the end of the chain. And for at least for the moment, I am storing all of that in this black hole tank. Oh, really, liquid helium doesn't have much of a use in this mod, apart from making coolant cells for reactors, or there's also I believe a particle accelerator multi-block, but it wasn't really complete. Or at least the content was never really completed, at least from what I understand. But these things, these fusion reactors, can explode, but it's nothing like a draconic reactor. Like, it's just kind of, if anything, it's like just a small, kind of, maybe small to, I guess, kind of medium-sized TNT explosion, and it just, like, makes fire everywhere, and also this plasma that's inside there can also leaks out, and, well, if you touch it, it sets you on fire. And also the fusion reactors make a small amount of radiation, though it's not a whole lot. Which, in fact, that actually is a thing in nuclear craft. You actually have to... Well, you can disable that part of the mod, but if you don't, you have to, you have to deal with radiation. But, anyway... I eventually plan on having a more prettier, more organized setup for the machines, but I never really did that here. Or at least I never got around to it before I stopped playing in this world. And over here, I just have a mob spawning chamber. And, oh, these are for disk drives, so this is the only one I'm using right now. And I eventually plan to have all of these, or at least most of these, filled with these very large storage cells, but they are really expensive to make. Because it's like I think it's like a bunch of these literally condensed into one cell. And I believe this system here, I believe is the largest Applied Energistics 2 system I've made so far. And over here is my RF Tools worlds. I don't think I really have any worlds that I'm actually that are not powered. Oh, and over here I just set up a screen to show the energy core percentage, though I'm probably never going to see it go above 0%. But anyway, I'm pretty sure these are all my RF worlds, or at least that I've created, and then the ones that I have powered right now. And even this world, I'm mining emeralds in order to convert into EMC, which in fact is actually still running as we speak. I always found it really fun to watch this. It's just mesmerizing. I'm guessing that's oil. But in this world, this is also before, so for my wireless power, I'm using these quantum entangle porters from Mechanism. And they're basically, they're like Tesseracts, but they're from the Mechanism mod. And they're great. They like allow you to wirelessly transfer like items, liquids, and power. Oh, I was panicking for a second there. I thought I'd forgotten to bring this, but I haven't. And so when I made this world, I insisted on using the quantum entangle porters for all my wireless power. But then from both playing all the Mod 6 with Lucario and also playing FTB Revelation for Asgard, or for Asgard 1.0, I've learned about the RF. I forget the name of that mod, but it's the Flux networks, which is a lot cheaper to make, and it only does power, but for sending power, it's a lot cheaper than those than these quantum entangle porters. But when I was playing in this world, I didn't know about that, and so I was using those for everything. Oh, and down here is where pretty much most of my dimension builders are, though some of these dimensions use so much power that I actually have to surround them with with more than one energy cable just to keep them powered. Especially in the cases for this one. mean, I have no idea, like, actually how much power I'm using, but I think probably a good few thousand RF per tick, if I were to guess. And this is an entire world made of draconium ore that I made. I believe it's not current. This is not currently doing anything right now. Well, I think the reason why I have less RF tools worlds in the save is as soon as I got access to that Emerald world, that basically gave me unlimited EMC, and thus I was able to literally, like, any item I needed, at least that you can exchange with EMC, I was able to get just from having unlimited emeralds. But over here, this is actually a CPU factory I made for Applied Energistics 2. And I believe as we speak, this thing is making processors. And of course I have, in order to get the materials that are needed, I just have these energy condensers set up. Though they're not being continuously fed with emerald blocks, but they're probably going to be running for quite a long time to come. Like even the one for diamonds hasn't even used up one emerald block yet, which is fine, interesting. I believe this is not even really. Some of these machines are kind of not running because I believe might have a bottleneck in the system somewhere. It's not letting all of these machines run at full capacity. And of course I have it in that dimension, so I basically I can have it keep running, but just kind of run in the background while I do other things in my world. And of course I also have a dimension for Mob Essence. Well, this time it is a just a regular world that just happens to have Mob Essence oceans instead of water oceans. And Jesus, this world is laggy. My goodness. And interestingly enough, this one I actually have a transmitter on. Well, that apparently took me back to the old base. And this one I created to farm ender dragons, or at least this world over here. I have a feeling stepping in here might not be a good idea. But hey, I got full draconic armor and also Staff of Power. So I should be just fine. Let's see if we can kill one. I feel like these dragons are faster than normal. Okay, he's down. Yeah, I think that's enough. Anyway, I have no idea where this one goes. Oh, I think this is actually a new, I think at some point I've changed the world generator. And I think this was a portal I set to where the new terrain is. Well, I forget exactly what my plans were for this area. And this is just a screen to keep track of the energy level of all my dimensions. But down here, actually the part I happened to start this video on, because this is apparently where I last was when I was playing in this world. Over here, it's not finished yet, but I had this plan to... I was going to get into Galactic Craft, at least in this world, where I've never really, I've never personally played Galactic Craft, and also in this pack I have the mod that adds in all of the planets of the solar system, and I never really got to play that mod, but before I decided that since my base being in a mountain and all, I thought it would be cool to build a big rocket silo. But of course I never got around to finishing it. But anyway, there's really not much more else to see. Well, over here I have this as I have a fusion crafting setup from Draconic Evolution. But anyway, well, I guess a little bit about this ME system is, well, here is literally just terminals, like for interacting with it, and this is all my craftable items. And like all of this up here is molecular assemblers, which hold, well, the interfaces, which are the boxes inside of them, hold the crafting recipes, and the molecular assemblers, which are the clear boxes, is where the crafting actually happens. And here is all crafting CPUs, and the reason I have multiple of them is so that you can have multiple recipes going at once. And I also made a bigger one in the middle for recipes that need a lot of ingredients. And hence why it has more 64K storage blocks. But one thing that I am actually utilizing in one feature of the Applied Energistics 2 that I am utilizing is these what are called P2P tunnels. So literally allow you to carry 32 ME channels through a single channel on another ME network. And that's really what this cube in the center is for. It's like it's the hub for the P2P network. And there's also what the blue cables are doing. And so it's like these cables are carrying P2P channels, which split up into up to 32 ME channels. And I'm also utilizing that here for all these molecular assemblers. And it's really kind of a bit of an advanced thing, but if you want to use applied energistics to its full potential, the P2P tunnels are just instrumental. Yeah, it's really I mean, it's really, in a way, it kind of allows you to get around the 32 channels per cable limitation, or at least to an extent. Oh, anyway, I guess that is mostly it for this world. Though I do have at least a couple other worlds. So, well, it turns out I actually have 3 survival worlds in this mod, at least in this mod pack that I played. One of them was just a copy of the other world that I guess I made as a backup, but I didn't end up doing much with it. So this is another another survival world entirely. And really, I just decided just to start from scratch, and I decided that I wanted to utilize the nuclear craft mod more and kind of more familiarize myself with it. And though down here, and if you're wondering what this is a Zeta Industries battery multi-block. And this is an advanced generators multi-block. Because I believe at first I would have started out using oil to make power, and then I would have switched to nuclear craft. But I built my very first nuclear craft reactor like on this, basically on this platform. Like, it used to be here, like right where I'm standing. But I actually kind of learned the hard way that you kind of don't want to do that, because, or at least you don't want to have your, or at least having your reactor like next to your base, or at least with the nuclear craft mod. It's not a really great idea, because it turns out that the reactors actually produce radiation as they're operating. And so it's like I had that reactor going, like directly, basically directly beneath my base. And probably within, maybe 5-10-ish minutes, like, I forget exactly how long, but maybe within 10, maybe 20 minutes of me starting the reactor, I actually started, I believe I guess I got a sufficient radiation dose to actually start having negative effects. And, but it actually took me a little bit to realize even what was going on. And then I think at some point I made the Geiger counter from the mod, and I think I saw that, like, if you see the little meter that's in the bottom, that's in the bottom left, I think by the time I made the Geiger counter, like it was that meter was like about halfway up. And but I believe at that point you have like, I think, hunger and slowness, or I forget exactly what the effects were, but it was kind of a bad thing. And then at that point, I was like, well, how do you deal with this? And well, how do you deal with this radiation sickness? Uh, and then I think I went down the rabbit hole of making, I believe it's called Radaway. And I think that's what these machines are for. At least that's what I use them for. And I believe I think you I forget like if I actually had to go into creative mode just to resolve the situation, but I think I would have. I think if memory serves correctly, I think I was able to cure myself basically of that radiation poisoning, and I think I didn't actually have to die, but I think ultimately I decided to move the reactor elsewhere, and I think first I put it in the mining dimension, but then later on I decided I didn't exactly want to irradiate my mining dimension, and instead to put it in the reactor in an RF Tools world. It's really just a standard quarry that I always like to make. And I believe that world is what I actually have this teleporter dialed to. And I believe over here I actually had the reactor set up, though I'm not exactly sure why it doesn't exist anymore. Well, I think I would have... Oh, I think I would have loaded a different version of the mod that had different blocks. And I think this got deleted for that reason. Well, anyway, I think I set my reactor up here. I forget exactly how much power it made, but I think it was a pretty good amount, like probably 20, probably 10 to 20 or 30 RF per tick, or 30,000 RF per tick. Or it was a decent amount of power. And all these machines were to produce nuclear fuel for the reactor, or at least an endless supply of it. And it's really kind of an interesting world this dimension is. I think those might actually be oil deposits. Well, that's really all I have to show of this world. As I didn't really get very far in it. So I just have one more world to show you. And that is, so this world, I also go into creative just so I can show. So this whole world is literally, like just a giant ocean. And then where the water level, I think I set the water level or the sea level to something like I think it's it's 225, I believe. And really my idea with this world was I wanted to make just this crazy underwater base that's like even bigger, that like it's just the whole thing was like it's like my whole thing with like building underwater and vanilla, at least, is the vanilla oceans are really like quite shallow. Like the deepest they ever get is like 30 blocks or so. And I've always wanted to see like, well, what building and like an even deeper ocean was like. And I actually saw, and I believe part of my inspiration for doing this world was as I saw this, I actually found this world download. I think like it's for literally like an entire like city that was like built like with these underwater builds. And I'm guessing originally it would have been a server at one point, but it's now just a world download now. But this is literally, so how I started in this is I literally I made this box in creative mode. Like literally just the glass and the sea lanterns and the floor and the front door I made in creative, and then from there I went into survival, and then I just played the rest of this survival. I think at some point I would have had like machines down here, but I later on removed them. Well, at least when I moved to that base over there. Well, I have left some items behind. And though just to create the world for this, it took me like probably like, no joke, probably 30 different world generations, possibly even 50. Because for one, I actually had to learn how to actually make the terrain exactly how I wanted it to be. And also how to, but well, making the water higher was no problem, but making the ocean how I wanted it to be, like, it's like I wanted it to be a really deep ocean, but it still have some occasional islands, which is of course what I wanted to do. But I mean, this world really is basically just like a kind of a tweaked version of Amplified, but with like a lot, like, it's like the terrain is more smoother, and there's kind of like Like, there's still, like, giant mountains that you can see here. But they're not quite as common. And it's still possible to have really deep ocean basins like this. And, though what really kind of sucks about this is, with this feature being removed from, 1.13 and, future versions, or at least being removed from 1.13 versions of Minecraft and onwards, this kind of forces me to, like, well, if I want to use this customized worlds feature to do this exact thing, I'm kind of forced to play in 1.12.2. And which means I don't get the 1.13 swimming mechanics, which is a real bummer. Though I did discover this mod called, I don't even know how it's pronounced, but it basically adds in the 1.13 swimming mechanics into older versions of Minecraft. Though it kind of lets you swim, and like you can in 1.13, but my biggest gripe with it is, like, once you get out of the swimming motion, it literally is impossible to get back into it unless you're standing on something, which means literally just swimming up to the surface, like, literally just takes forever. And, like, if you swim up a bunch and you end up like this, you're just slowly sinking down, and until I can actually get back in my base again. Which is a real bummer, but unfortunately it is what it is. So in order to breathe underwater, I am using the mechanism scuba tank and scuba mask, and I have to put it in this machine over here in order to refill it. So over here, is where I have my void ore miners, and over here is kind of my main hub, where I have my ME system and my power generation, which I originally had I had an advanced generators multi-block, and this giant tank which I filled with oil, But I then built this this advanced this fusion reactor from Nuclear Craft. Which is quite a bit smaller than the one in my other world, but it still makes a decent amount of power. Well, this induction matrix is full. I'm not sure if I can actually show So basically this reactor is making we would just shy of 120,000 RF per tick, and it's basically just it's just using this hydrogen, which I am making from that electrolytic separator down there, which is just using an infinite water source. And I have this comparator, which is basically a crude way of keeping the reactor from overheating, but it works at least, and which is why you hear it periodically shutting off. And over here is just another setup for making applied energistics processors. And then this massive room over here, I intend to put various machines and farms in. Though I haven't really managed to do very much with it. And over here, I attempted to make some kind of oil refining setup, but like originally I wanted to use the giant tower from Mercer Petroleum, but it didn't end up working the way I wanted it to. Well, I forget the specifics of what I was doing here. I mean, I really want to keep playing in this, but unfortunately, that not having 1.13 swimming mechanics problems really, I mean, it makes building, like actually building these underwater structures, a huge pain in the neck. But I guess since I have Draconic Evolution in this pack, I might progress towards that. At least just so I can fly underwater, if nothing else. But anyway, this is really all I have to show here. And over here is just kind of some machines I needed for making the fusion reactor, at least the block in the center of the fusion reactor, which actually involves a bit of chemistry crafting in order to make, which is what all these machines here are for. Anyway, there's not really a whole much else to show, though. Well, I guess I could show maybe a little bit more of this world. So, like, over here, like, probably one of my most favorite parts of this world is actually over here. If I can find it. It's like way this way. And it is this mesa biome island. Quite a pretty large one. So it's really a giant mountain that just happens to have its top above the water. Now, it's really, I find interesting is just how far even the mesa biome actually goes. Like, it actually goes way down here. So I'm guessing that the terracotta generates to, I guess, where the sea level normally would be. And then it just keeps going up. And I guess it's kind of dark, but you can, I guess, kind of see that this would have been a big mountain. But it's, where do we all, but its very peak is underwater. And literally where I'm actually flying already is the build height limit. And as you can see, this is quite a large landmass. And over here, it's just literally just like huge patches of ice. But yeah, I think that's all I really have to show. And this isn't quite the end of the series, but it's fairly close to it. I mean, I have one more thing that I want to show, which is actually the world that me and Lucario played in that All the Mod 6 mod pack. But I'm actually running kind of a bit long on this video, and I actually want to take a break. So thank you all for watching, and if you liked what you saw, or this is me, Dusty Circuit here, thank you for watching, and if you liked what you saw, remember to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you want to see my next videos, be sure to hit the bell for notifications, and peace out. Bye.